Came 116, 112, 116, 112, and 115, 113. I had one of the 116, 112 scorecards. As I left the arena, I walked by, and the late, great Harold Letterman, HBO's unofficial ringside score, flashed a napkin. He said 116, 112, welcome to HBO. I later, in July of 2016, got to judge the WBC Heavyweight Championship title fight between champion Deontay Wilder and challenger Chris Arreola. I truly love judging boxing fights. I've also written boxing books. So I'm the co-author of a book called Boxing's Most Wanted, the top 10 book of champs, chumps, and punch-drunk palookas. I've written a book called The Encyclopedia of Combat Sports and another book called An Autopsy on Boxing, Boxing in America. It's truly a sport that you have to watch and appreciate. Part of what makes boxing so enthralling is it does have a seedy side. Famed sports writer Jimmy Cannon once famously referred to the sport of boxing as, quote, the red light district of sports. Writer Joyce Carol Oates once referred to it as, quote, America's tragic theater. Famed writers like Ernest Hemingway, Jack London, Gerald Early, and many others have written beautifully about the sport of boxing. Boxing also makes for great movies. Some of the finest movies that I've ever seen have dealt with the sport of boxing. The first Rocky movie was nominated, and I believe won an Academy Award. $1 Million Baby is another great movie. It's simply a rich history, and that's what we're going to do in this series, is examine some of that beautiful history of the sport of boxing. We're going to examine some of the lives and careers of truly great champions. Fighters such as Jack Johnson, the first African American to ever hold the world heavyweight title. We'll look at the career of the great Joe Louis, aka the Brown Bomber, a man who held the heavyweight crown for 12 years. Two of our lessons will concern the incomparable Muhammad Ali, aka the greatest, probably the most recognizable person on the globe when he was still alive. We'll also examine some fighters in some lower weight classes. We'll look at the career of Sugar Ray Robinson, whom many boxing pundits consider to be the greatest pound-for-pound fighter in boxing history. We'll also look at Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran, Julio Cesar Chavez, and the great Floyd Mayweather Jr., a fighter who retired with a perfect 50-0 record. But some of our lessons will deal with other subjects. I mentioned earlier that I'm a boxing judge. Some fights go to the scorecards, and let's just say there's often healthy disagreement as to which pugilist actually won the bout. So in one of our lectures, we will talk about some famous controversial decisions. Another thing that makes the sport of boxing so wonderful is that, as legendary basketball coach Dick Motta said, the opera ain't over till the fat lady sings. In boxing terms, the fight is not over until the final bell rings. We'll talk about some famous fights when fighters were hopelessly behind on the scorecards, only to produce a miraculous KO in the closing seconds. Earlier, I mentioned that the great Joyce Carol Oates referred to boxing as a tragic theater. There have unfortunately been many tragedies in the sport of boxing. Some courageous warriors have lost their lives from injuries they suffered in the ring. We'll examine some of those more poignant stories. Boxing is full of not just world champions, and we'll certainly spend a lot of time talking about all-time greats. But there's a lot of boxers that many of you probably have never heard of. Boxing history is filled with some colorful
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.